Yo, what's going on? Thank y'all for tuning in to another DLE Fitness live stream show today. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for tuning in. We got a good show lined up for you today. Hopefully everybody having a good day out there. Let's go. There we go. Turn that up because I couldn't hear no sound. Yes, sir. But yes, sir. Hopefully everybody having a good day. Hopefully having a good day at work and all that good stuff. Hopefully having a good lunch break, work day, whatever it is. Hopefully nobody pissing you off and you're having a bad day. But if you are having a bad day, we're going to let Mr. Child break it down to you.
Oh, you're having a bad day? Did you die?
I got shot.
But did you die?
As long as you didn't die, you're still alive. You're still here. You're able to make something happen. Get up, get out and get something. Stay focused. Stay focused on your grind. Make sure that you do what you got to do to get to where you got to get to. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it in the end. We in a hard time situation. That's okay. You keep pushing. You keep grinding. You keep sticking to your mission. You keep believing in yourself. And you make something shake. So let's go. Yes, sir. And I need more water. I have no water. We are multi-streaming on multiple platforms: YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Rumble, and Facebook. If you're on any of those channels, but if you're on YouTube, do your boy a favor. When you see that thumbs up that's going to pop up on your screen, hit that thumbs up to get that like button hit. So please hit the like button, get this algorithm out and all that good stuff. If you want to contribute to today's show, Cash App, but the Venmo right there. Cash App, Daniel2888, Venmo, Danny-Daniel-00. Yes, sir. And today we got a good show lined up for you. Today we are going to dive in and we're going to basically talk about what I consider a World War III tactic against America, which is economic warfare that's been going on since, I would say, the pandemic. I say since the pandemic, America been has been dealing with an economic warfare, but it didn't really show too hard until the ripples effect of the stimmy checks, in my humble opinion. So when we first got them stimmy checks, everybody had to stay inside, don't go outside. The boogeyman gonna get you. You're gonna catch a strong flu. So you need to get a vaccine, a jibby jab for a strong flu and all this stuff. When I saw that, I was thinking to myself, I was like, this ain't gonna be good with these stimmy checks because this is gonna have a ripple effect because they print money. And then, of course, the ripple effect was cost of living went up. So ever since then, what I mean, we've just been having this increase of a economic warfare that's been going on in America, is what I call it. And it's just been going on. It's been inflation been going up, cost of living been going up, real estate been going up, property taxes been going up. Food and groceries, all this stuff been going up. The devaluation of your dollar's going down, so your money don't stretch as far. Like all this stuff is just, to me, I look at it as an economic warfare, and it's the constant downtrend that's going to be going on precipitously over the next, where we at? 26, so probably for sure the next 6 years to 10 years, for sure 6 years, for sure 6 more years, 2032 for sure. So, I mean, I see this is constantly going. So I look at things and I pay attention to what's going on, and I see it from a different perspective. And I look at it when we look at today's topic, is we're going to look at all these mass layoffs that's been going on, which has been more that's been happening. So we're going to check out some more layoffs that's been going on, and we're going to see exactly what the situation is with all these layoffs. And we're going to see how more people losing their jobs and how it's affecting the economy, but not only the economy, but look at this as a tactic. This is like a World War III tactic. Right now they probably haven't, they haven't used the guns and stuff like they normally do, but you're using economics. You're hitting people in their pocketbooks. You know what I mean? Daycare for children costs rent. You know what I mean? So if you have to put your kids in daycare and you got to work a job, well, then daycare costs rent. And then people get laid off from jobs. AI is coming in and taking over and changing the structure of how tech stuff is being ran. And then slowly but surely, I'm going to do my next stream. We're going to look at the robots that are out on these streets now and how they're going to be taking over, and how Waymo is running around town, driving around with driverless cars and all that good stuff. And those jobs are going to be taken away soon. All sorts of transportation, Uber, Lyft, and all your delivery services are going to be taken away. All these things are going to hit, and then people will be able to take the I think it's called Instacart. People go in, they grab the food, and then they go back out. Well, the grocery store will just take the cart, do Instacart from in the grocery store, put the food in the Waymo, and drive it to the people at some point. So we're getting closer and closer to that point. I call that economic warfare. That's how I look at it. This is an economic warfare, and people keep looking at politicians and stuff for them to change things, and it's like they're not going to change anything. They're going in a particular direction, and they know where they're going. They know where they're headed, and people thinking that they can keep voting and changing these things in. But the worse things get, the more the voting benefits the government who keeps putting their foot in the people's ass. Oh my goodness. That's what keeps happening. It's like the more we go on, and then on top of that, with feminism and men and women both working in the workforce, and women getting you throw women in the workforce, now you got 2 taxpayers instead of 1. So you got 2 of them going into work, and now they're both competing for jobs. But then, when you put both of them in the workforce, okay, well, the wages went down. They didn't go up. People get paid less because there's more people in the workforce. There's more competition. They put out less money. Now AI is in the workforce. So you got men, women, and now AI joining the workforce, and AI is doing the job, or going to be able to do the job for the cheapest, because they ain't got to worry about no sexual harassment, no Me Too's, no calling in sick, no headaches, no baby mama, baby daddy drama, none of that. No wifey, no divorce, no potentially being sued, no DEI, no racism. Ain't got to worry about none of that. So you look at this and you see, like, we're going through an economic warfare. That's how it's the only way I can describe it, because it's like we've seen other kind of warfare. The strong flu 19, the pandemic, that was the chemical warfare. We saw Hiroshima and all these other warfares, the war on terrorism, the Iraq war, whatever, back in 2008, 6, 2, 6, 8, or something like that, whenever that happened. They had that war, that was a bad war. The war in Afghanistan, all that stuff, that was a war with the guns. We had all these different wars, but now we're going through an economic warfare. So this one that we look at, you can't help but notice that everybody and their grandma's getting hit in the pocketbooks. You can't deny it. Everybody's getting hit in the pocketbooks, and now you have the generational gap. So the generation gap is you got, the boomers, then you got the Gen Z, and then the Gen Alpha that's coming up, and you got the millennials in the middle. But, you're doing well or you're not. It's not much in between. And a lot of people keep losing their jobs, but the way this warfare is going on, the current president that's in office, Donald Trump, is a businessman. Trump ain't worried about America's financial situation. He even said it himself. I showed this on the show. So Trump verbatim, word for word, says he doesn't care about America's financial situation. He don't care. He has an agenda that he has to fulfill. And in that agenda, the rich get rich and the poor get poor. That's just as simple as it goes. If you can follow the money as they make money, then then the best of luck to you. You're gonna get paid more. If not, you're gonna get left behind in the smoke and then face the wrath of more people getting rich. So he's not concerned about the people financial situation. Why? Because he's a businessman. He's not a politician. So when you look at this, and as this keeps going on, and we keep having a stretch and we have this messed up mindset of the two genders, and the fighting of the men and the women, and then the fighting of the different generations, and then we have fight of religion, then we have fight of color and race, and then we have fight of all these different things that people are fighting over, countries, and all these different things, which political flag or which political party you swing with, the left or the right, all these different things that are confusion and pulling people apart, and there's no unity, no togetherness. So at the end of the day, I look at it as you have to find a way to economically put yourself ahead in a position to be able to hold yourself down, you and the ones around you. And it seems like the way we're moving, the only way to be able to do that in a secure way is, one of the ways would be entrepreneurship, create your own job. If you're lucky and you have a job or you work with a group of people, y'all create y'all's own job and stuff like that, or potentially maybe join the military, depending on how things go in these next 6 to 10 years. But there's different avenues and different ways to do it. But it's becoming less and less and less and less and less and less and less. You know what I mean? It's becoming less and less and less. And so we're going to go ahead and tackle this and take a look at some videos and look at people who are talking about situations that they've been going through with some hard times and some economic hard times. The first thing we're going to start with is going to be the federal layoffs. We're going to look at the federal layoffs. So this is going to be breaking news. It says the U.S. Supreme Court, let me pull this over, it's lifted a San Francisco U.S. District Judge who blocked. Excuse me. Let me show this on your screen. Matter of fact, let me refresh this so we can pull this up so I can show you what I'm talking about. Let me make sure I refresh this. All right, here we go. And we got, and it's none other than the great fake news. So it says the U.S. Supreme Court lifted San Francisco U.S. District Court Judge Stan Liston's block. So they lifted a judge's block who was allowing the Trump administration to move forward with mass layoffs. So let's see how this pans out. I wish I could move this over, but I can't. But let's hear what they got to say on this. So here we go. Start out with this.
As mentioned, breaking moments ago, the Supreme Court with a decision that will allow the Trump administration to move ahead with their plans to cut the federal workforce, at least for now. Justice correspondent David Spott, give us the backstory here, reporting live from Washington. Hi, David.
Hi, Martha. A nice Tuesday afternoon win for the Trump administration. And
ooh, that haircut is atrocious, boy. You look like one of the Addams family with this one, boy. That haircut is atrocious. I don't know what you thought about that, but somebody needs to slap the dog shit out of you for that haircut.
it's funny because the justices normally are on their summer recess right now. Doesn't mean they don't work behind the scenes, but these justices have been busy because of these executive orders and the way they've made their way through the legal process. But this right now is a order from the Supreme Court essentially saying that a San Francisco judge who put a stop to the Trump administration from cutting several federal agencies, they're saying that the Trump administration, in fact, right now can continue forward as the case plays out on its merits. So essentially back in May, several different agencies sued. They said that the Trump administration wanted to make cuts at the Departments of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Energy, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, HUD, Justice, Labor, State Treasury, and Transportation, pretty much all of them. Now the Supreme Court is giving the Trump administration victory some almost 6 months into the president's second term here, saying that they can go forward with these reductions in force.
Okay, so this is, you know, as you can probably tell, this was way like what, last year at least. So it's probably, so of course it's like a year old, but pay attention to everything that they mentioned. Let me see if I can go backwards.
Almost 6 months into the.
Let me see. Go back. Right here. So we're going to listen to everything that he mentions. Now pay attention to what he mentions. He mentions all these different things. Listen to all the different sectors he mentioned. Listen to him.
Back in May, several different agencies sued. They said that the Trump administration wanted to make cuts at the Departments of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Energy, Health and Human.
Department of Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Health and Human Services. Listen to everything he's naming. Okay. Health and Human Services, all these things, you can easily see these things being turned into AI easily at some point. Not even like a hard shift. It'll be easy to shift the jobs from over to humans to AI.
Human Services, Homeland Security, HUD, Justice, Labor, State Treasury.
HUD, Justice, Labor, State Treasury, anything with finance, they're going to AI that real quick, and they're going to be able to shrink the size of the workforce tremendously. You know what I mean? They're not going to do away with the people, but they're going to shrink the size of the workforce that they need for these jobs.
And transportation, pretty much all of them now.
And transportation. You know, Elon Musk already has that trucking business that's going what's the name of his trucking business that he has where it's driverless trucks, and they're all EV trucks. You know what I mean? There's other vehicles on the road too in Texas already that they have that going on. So transportation, all these things, they're just gonna they're just gonna make the load a lot smaller of people, and then just implement AI and have more people out of work. So as you can see, you know, the layoffs and stuff has been happening, but just not on the civilian side, but also on the federal side as well. So everybody is catching that work. Nobody is spared from this. So let's go ahead and take a look at some more other people. Let me see what I have up here next. Let me see. Let me see if I can, because I had this in an order, but it seemed like my order got screwed up on some of this stuff right here. Let's see what this lady says. She says Visa's going to cut 2,600 jobs as payment giants push for efficiency. Okay, when you hear efficiency, let me show you right here. It says Visa cuts 2,600 jobs as payment giants pushes for efficiency. So when they say efficiency means AI implementation. That's what they mean. AI will be implemented for efficiency, because then, you know, you got more in your pocket. You're not paying as many workers and stuff like that. So let's see what she says on this one. Let's hear what she has to say. Well, let's do a small clip from her, then we'll hop back.
Y'all, well, another major company is cutting thousands of jobs, and once again, the reason isn't because they're losing money. You know I took notes. Let's talk about it. Visa just announced that it's
They not even losing money and they making these cuts. They're not even losing money. We finna get more money because we about to AI this. We finna AI this whole world up. So as you can see, more layoffs hit. And if you look at it, there's not even because they're losing money. It's because they're preparing for the future endeavor because they're wanting to invest heavily into the future of AI. That's really what it is at the end of the day. There's no way around it. Like, they're not losing money. They just need to get rid of people to, to shrink the size of the workload and have less people doing the work. And they're going to work this AI for sure. And AI is moving fast, yo. I don't know if y'all have noticed. AI is moving fast. It's moving really fast. I don't know if people are paying attention to it, but it's moving extremely fast and it's integrating so much that sometimes people can't even tell that they're watching AI. But let's let her continue.
eliminating about 2,600 jobs, which is roughly 7% of its workforce. According to the company's CEO, the layoffs are part of a restructuring plan to make Visa more efficient and invest in what it calls its high potential opportunities, AI. Most of the cuts are expected to come from the company's technology and product team, AI. The CEO also acknowledged that artificial intelligence is helping change how work gets done at Visa. While the company says that AI wasn't the only reason for the layoffs, it did say that AI is accelerating the company's transformation.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, credit card payments. Why would you not want to automate your credit card payments to AI? Of course you would. Of course you would push your credit card payments, Visa, MasterCard. Hell, what's the other ones? I can't even think right now. I'm just thinking Visa and MasterCard. I know there's the other ones, but I can't think right now. But why would you not push the credit card companies to AI? That makes perfect sense. Like, I would have figured they would have been the first to make the move right next to the tech bros, all the tech companies. I would have seen this one coming from a mile away. So it's easy to see Visa is cutting people off easily. There's no issues with that whatsoever. So now if the credit card companies are cutting people off or laying people off or moving towards AI, then the next domino to hit would have to be banks. Banks have to either come before or after the credit card, but it should be right in line with it simultaneously. If not, the next one should be banks. And here we have Citibank to lay off 20,000 employees worldwide by the end of 2026 and move more operations to India. Now, this is something that you got to pay attention to. If they're moving more operations to a foreign country, we're going to talk about said foreign countries here a little bit later on so we can get an understanding of how deep this thing actually goes. And then this is my humble opinion of what they're trying to do. So let's just hear what he has to say about Citibank laying off 20,000 employees. Oh, crap. Can't hear him. Start that over. Here we go.
Citibank to lay off 20,000 employees worldwide by the end of 2026. Now, this is about a month after they moved 1,000 jobs from China to India. And sources also told Bloomberg News that this banking giant was going to cut 3,500 jobs in China in total in this year. Now, this is one of many moves on the global economy where a lot of companies are moving to India specifically for the cheaper labor, the better technology, the better relations. India as a company is very smart in the way that it's set everything up. It's allied with everybody. It's not adversarial with anybody else. It doesn't get involved in any global politics. It doesn't get a lot, in anything to do with wars. It simply stays on the fact that they are there to do business and take care of their own country and make as much money as possible. So it's a very smart practice as far as business is concerned.
Well, of course, that's what a bank is going to do. So they're going to basically change up the banking operations and they're going to move more operations to India. So Citibank is going to lay off 20,000 worldwide and move more operations to India. So I don't know if they're going to open up more operations in India or hire more Indian workers via the H-1B visa. Who knows? But it's going to be a global change of 20,000 employees worldwide by the end of 2026. So as you can see, more and more people getting laid off. And it's interesting how the shift is happening, and it's just and it's not stopping one person at a time. It's happening at a huge rate of numbers. There's thousands of people losing their jobs. And then when they lose their jobs, getting a job right now is hard to get. It amps up the competition for people already having jobs or trying to get jobs or have degrees and are competing for jobs. And people are going to have to go back to the old school model of trying to get a job, filling out the application and going to the brick and mortar store or whatever place that they go to, as opposed to using the Indeed or LinkedIn or something like that. Those are still viable options, but I think they're getting way too many applications. And, you know, some of those will still work. I'm not going to say they won't work. It still works, but it's an AI sifting through those applications. You know what I mean? So, and it's making a cold calculated decision. You know, the decisions are being cold and calculated just strategically off of algorithm and numbers and simplicity of what it wants or what it's looking for. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's different. Okay, now let's see what we got here. Social Security. No. Where is it? State Department. No. Where we got? This right here, even this one. So I thought this was interesting. So this woman talks about she has a work from home job. She says that she that her work from home job did a massive layoff of teams at her work from home job. So work from home spaces are even places that are getting tampered with as well. But let's let this lady speak and see what she says about her work from home job right here. It says that my work from home job just did a massive layoff over teams. Let's see what this is. Here we go. As soon as we get some sound, of course. Here we go.
A company meeting 2 hours ago. And I say, so we just had a company meeting 2 hours ago. And they just did a massive firing. I'm not going to say the company's name or whatever, but they just did a massive firing. When I say these jobs do not care what you got going on. The job market is so bad in America, it's not even funny. Like, you can't even get the job at McDonald's. You can't even get the job that you can only make probably $7.25 anymore. You can't get a job for that. No one's hiring, but everybody is hiring, but nobody's really hiring. These jobs that you get on, you just got to take it by a grain of salt because, you know, they're not really caring. They're not caring whatsoever. If you know how good you are, how educated you are, they don't care. And it's people who go on to college getting degrees, can't even get the job with that degree because they don't have enough experience, but the job's not hiring. So, you know.
Yep. All the experience. Can't even get nothing lined up. She said it's even hard to get a job at Mickey D's. So it's a mass layoff happening. I forget what she said, but she said she got a work from home job. I don't know what her company was. She didn't mention that. But even with the work from home jobs, bro, work from home jobs is even catching wreck and hard for people to get into because it's the AI portion of everything is it's shrinking the workforce down. It's shrinking the workforce down tremendously, and it's doing it in a way where I just don't think people are looking at it as a form of economic warfare. And then on top of that, it'll end up killing ambition of people. And if your ambition is killed, then that's literally a prerequisite to socialism or communism. Because all communism is giving government all authority and all power. You know, you give them all authority and all power of everything. And when you give them all authority and all power, then there's no ambition for you to have to go harder because everything is supposed to be equal. Let me pull that in. Yeah, everything is supposed to be equal. And if everything is equal, then what's the point of working hard? It doesn't make any sense. And that's how kind of AI is working. It's making the pool so small, but it's basically like a bottleneck. You know what I mean? Like a bottleneck. You know how it's a big base at the bottom, and you bottleneck up to the top. That's really what we're dealing with, like a funnel. You know what I mean? Like an upside down funnel or something. That's really what we're dealing with. And as we're seeing this go on, we got all these wars going on. We got the Iran situation. We got this Israel thing going on. Both sides is infiltrating America. You got the Islamics on one side. You got Israel on the other side. They're both kind of like infiltrating in on the U.S. in two different ways, in a political way. They're both doing it on both sides. And like the people in the middle, Americans are fighting, trying to figure out like who's going to help us or who's going to be the political party for us and all this. And it doesn't seem that nobody has America's best interests at heart. Everybody's too busy trying to change and conquer it. And, you know, when people don't have no money, no jobs, when AI is doing jobs for people and people don't have money to pay for certain bills or certain situations, and you're going to vote in, what's going to happen is the voting. The voting is going to base heavily on the younger people who have to live this life out. That's what's going to happen. The younger people are going to end up voting, and they're going to vote in whatever life they want to live in that suits best their needs, that's going to live this life out. Because we knew about this was coming. Like, we knew this was going to happen. This is nothing surprising, because we learned in the '08 market crash when the banks bailed out for the real estate market or the housing market, whatever, crashing. When they bailed the banks out, they knew in the future they were selling out their future generation of children or grandchildren or whatever. They knew it when they did it. And here we are. We're here. We're here at it. So you're seeing all these layoffs and all these different things happening. We're here. We're here. Let's take a look at this. The reality of being one of 600,000 black women out of work. An Atlanta-based social media manager shares her experience being laid off while on medical leave amid a high unemployment for black women. Well, you know, that's another thing as well. Being divorced or single, or, you know, if you're gonna be single, cool. Just know that you're gonna have to hustle your ass off. Like, you're gonna have to hustle and grind ridiculously, because, you know, they're not gonna benefit you because you're single. They're gonna find ways to bachelor tax your ass over time. So you're gonna have to just triple time your grind. If you're in a relationship, married or whatever, then you're gonna have to find a way to keep the woman on par or on course with what you're doing. You know, she can't get bored, she can't feel appreciated, and all these damn feelings. And then she's also empowered with the social media and the cell phone that she has, that you're also dating a whole app with her at the same time, because she keeps, you know, her senses keep getting tampered with every time she looks into that phone, you know? So there's that. But let's take a look at this and see the reality of the black woman. So here we go. Let's see what she says. This was March 16th, 2026. Here we go. Let me make sure the sound is on. All right, here we go.
100,000 black women just lost their jobs this year, and nobody at the top is calling it for what it is. Give me 60 seconds. This one is diabolical. The news says it's just the economy slowing down. Companies are saying that they need to restructure. Let me tell you what they won't. This is a purge. Black women's unemployment is at the highest level since the greatest recession. And most of these women are educated. They have degrees, decades of experience, leadership track record.
She said since the greatest recession, which I believe that was the pandemic. I think the pandemic was a great recession, or was it the '08 housing market crash? Which I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah. Let's keep going.
Records, and the AI wave hasn't even started yet. The CEO of Anthropic just said AI will replace half of all white-collar jobs in 5 years. Half. And the sectors on the chopping block are the exact ones black women fought their way into. There's a disturbing trend on LinkedIn right now. Black women are posting what look and read like suicide notes on their profiles. Things like, I've drained my savings, I'm a week away from being evicted, I'm down to my last dollar. The corporate ladder was never built for black women. You've spent your whole career climbing a structure built on a lie. Twice the work, half the protection. And look at this. The first one cut when the music stops. That's not a glitch. That's the design. Here's my message. Stop climbing it. Build something they can't fire you from. Knowledge becomes a product. Experience becomes income. I'm showing 100 black women how to use AI to build something before the next wave hits. Comment voice. Let's.
Yeah, about that. As you can see, this is not going to end too shabby, because the AI wave, I don't know if she did this in 2025 or she did it this year or what. I think she did it this year, because she's got posted February 10, 2026. So she did it this year, March this year. But this AI wave And then on top of that, all the jobs that are hitting the AI waves, a lot of the jobs that are going to be shifted or taken away are jobs that are predominantly done by black women. And all the white women who were, huge beneficiaries of DEI, they were the primary beneficiaries of DEI, it's coming for them too. It's coming for them next. But the wave is just going to hit so many people. And on top of that, there's a war looming, that a war is about to happen. And then nobody wants to get together. Nobody wants to, live or procreate with each other. Nobody wants to, if you are a Democrat and the other one's a Republican, well, somebody's going to dislike you or hate you for the party that you're with. But nobody is thinking of one, unity. Nobody's thinking of like one big common goal. Everything is divided up, you know what I mean? And it's hard to make things happen. There's nothing really you can do, because we seen this coming a mile away. We saw this back when they bailed out them banks for the housing market, the dilemma. That's what The Big Short was all about. You know what I mean? They laid out those cards and showed you exactly what caused it, how it was going. There's a movie I watched on an airplane one time. Let me find this movie. This movie is called Default. The name of the movie was called Default. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Actually, this is actually a good time. Default. It was a good movie. Was it a Korean movie? Default movie. Here it is right here. Hell yeah. This was a great movie. I remember on the airplane watching this movie. I had to read it. This is a fantastic movie right here. Default. Watched this on the airplane by accident. It was one of the best movies I done seen in a minute. This right here says, investors leave Korea right now. The monetary policy manager at the bank. Let me see if I can find the actual purpose of this movie. Let me see if I can find it. What's the description of this movie? It says investors leave Korea right now. The monetary policy manager at the Bank of Korea predicts a massive national financial crisis and reports it to the director. I think this was actually played out in a particular year, but I'm not sure. The director doesn't schedule an emergency summit until 10 days later, but does it without notifying the public of the situation. Seon urges for the crisis to be announced in order to warn the people of looming disaster, but her plea is ignored. The summit is held behind closed doors. Yu Ha-ni, a financial consultant, notices Korea is suddenly hemorrhaging foreign funds. He learns the reason is that the international finance firms have ordered an all-out investment withdrawal from the company, which has caused the credit rating to plummet. He hands in a resignation and decides to play the odds on what he's sure is a coming crisis. He secretly starts gathering investors willing to do the same. The Hu Jun-ho, a family man who runs a small tableware factory, has a big break and wins a contract with the department store. The fact that the price settlement terms equal to little more than a promissory note concerns him only briefly and oblivious to the looming financial upheaval. Gap soon signs the contract. The managing director of the IMF comes to Korea just 1 week before the country goes bust. And that is when those who try to prevent the crisis, those who seek to take advantage of it, and those who are only trying to protect their livelihood are caught in the wake of a national bankruptcy. Now, if you know anything about Korea, right now Korea is leading the world, I should say, in a good example of how feminism is destroying their society. Korea right now is leading that situation. And I'm trying to see if this was based on a true story, but I can't. You know what, Wikipedia, let me see. It was released in June. It was released in November of 2018. Here it is. Here it is. Perfect. Whoops, my bad. This is what I want you. Let me show y'all what that was. You don't think this is when I was not. Whenever I do fitness intros, this was my intro.
Let's get ready for the fitness segment of the show.
Just so y'all didn't think that was like some prime or some prono that I had going on. It's not what that is. I just want y'all to know. Anyway, so here's the plot. So Default dramatizes the behind-the-scenes story of the IMF negotiation that took place during the financial crisis in 1997 through 3 parallel stories. So this is based on a true story, but they dramatized it. This happened for the 1997 crisis in Korea. So it was a good example to show how foreign investors came in and screwed over the country. You know what I mean? So I advise everybody to go and watch this movie. This is a really, really good movie. It was, to me, this was another version of The Big Short. But it's interesting to see because The Big Short was, you know, an American situation. This is a Korean situation. And it's showing that the same thing happens across the entire globe. It's different. Like these things happen across the globe. And when the investors came in and made their foreign investments, which is kind of like what's going on with us right now, we're being taken over by, you know, foreign interests, and it's all about money. It's the same situation, the same concept. So you have to look at these different movies, look at The Big Short, go watch Default, figure out a way, look at what those two movies had in common in today's and previous crisis, like the Great Depression or the 2008 crisis. Try to figure out what they all had in common and what was the one thing that you could have did to hedge yourself, to prepare yourself to get ready to survive in a situation that was happening, that was going to be a financial break, that was going to destroy not just you, but everybody around you financially. And that's what we're seeing right here. It's just another form of economic warfare. It's all it is. Just another form of economic warfare. That's all we're seeing. Economic warfare of a different form. All right. Now, speaking of economic warfare, it doesn't stop. It keeps going. This lady pulls up. Let me see. What does she have right here? Because I don't want to. Sometimes people be lying their asses off. I'm not going to use her. Social Security. No, we're not going to go there yet. Not going to go there yet. You know what? We'll do the lady first. I put on here. So let's go with her. She's going to talk about the layoffs in July of 2026. Let's see the layoffs that happened in just July. Let's let her take it away. Here we go. Layoffs in July.
9,000 jobs. Cisco, Intel, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Indeed, and Glassdoor. TikTok, Oracle, Advance Health, Optimum Care, Sarepta Therapeutics. Manufacturing jobs laying off are Bosch's, Retiligen Plant, Whirlpool Corporation, General Dynamics, Dyson, Lucid Motors. If you did not know, we have over 7 million people unemployed and only like 6.88 million jobs available. In addition, only 57,000 jobs were created in June 2026, and April and May job creation was revised down negative 74,000 for those 2 months. So all of these layoffs and the amount of jobs available and the amount of jobs being created are a direct sign of our economy collapsing. If people don't have jobs, they cannot pay their bills. That's why you're seeing home foreclosures, credit card delinquency, student loan delinquency, auto loan delinquency, and it's going to get much worse, ladies and gentlemen. We are on day 126 of the Iran war. We're spending like there's no end in sight, and these are going to be very bad times. Buckle up, do the best that you can to, number one, do a budget and plan out your spending ahead of time. Monitor your spending as you go, adjust your spending as you go. Try to have a 6-month emergency fund. If you are currently working and you already have those, please pay off your debt or move it to a 0% interest card. Interest rates are going to be going up because of inflation. My name is Christina. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, a math.
Okay, good for your degrees. All right, so yeah, as you can see, it's gonna get much worse. As she's saying it. She's like, it's gonna get much worse. Make sure your credit score is good. Pay off all your debts. The best, you know what I mean? Like she's naming, and she named a bunch of companies that I was like, damn, I didn't even look that deep into this. So she's naming a bunch of companies that are doing all this, and what is it? 6.88 million people are unemployed. Only 57,000 jobs were created in the month of June. Like I said, it's going to be a small amount of people controlling the AI for the job. So therefore they want human slaves, which is why I'm always over here preaching and talking about these damn reptilians wanting lush farms and trying to harness people for low frequency energy and stuff like that. They want slaves, bruh. They want slaves. That's all it is. This story is old as time. They just want slaves. That's always been the story. Every time you look back, there's a story of slaves. That's it. It's rich at the top, it's the slaves, and then there's Bitches getting fucked in the middle. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? That's the story. Aladdin. The kid's story. The kid's movie. Aladdin with the magic carpet and Jafar and the genie. You know what I mean? What was that? Aladdin was a poor kid, a slave. He was running through the city singing a song, stealing bread with his monkey Abu. He was, going through the little bitty markets where they were selling food. He was just a poor slave amongst other slaves. And just so happened, somebody's rich daughter liked him. And he wanted to clap her cheeks. And they were doing everything in their power to, they couldn't allow that to happen because he lived in a caste system. Slave. That's all it is. And I mean, if you look at the way they were dressed and I would go as far as to say that society was a Muslim society. Aladdin was a Muslim society. That's what that was. Aladdin was a Muslim society. That's what that was. So just a poor dude stealing, trying to live. He's a slave, trying to bang out the fine princess or the fine king or princess, whatever daughter or whoever she was. That's it. It's always a story about slavery. Somebody's gonna be the slave. That's it. That's just what it turns into every single time. Somebody's going to be the slave. Why did the Great Depression happen? They needed more slaves. And then the Industrial Revolution kicked off or whatever. World War II kicked off. So then they needed people. So World War II is what got us out the Great Depression. So they had people working as slaves for their new era they were ushering in. Now this time, World War III kicking off. But this time, people ain't going to have jobs to usher in a new era for the intelligence era. That's not going to happen this time around. Because they talking about giving you UBI, giving you universal basic income. So then what they going to do with the people? What they going to do with the humans? Because we already seen what the LIVESTREAM files produce. The LIVESTREAM files produce a whole lot of stuff that they do to children. Drinking blood, doing PDF things, doing sacrifices and ceremonies and things like that. So if they're doing that to the children, what you think they're gonna do with a shitload of grown ass people? That's just my opinion. This is how I look at it, because it ain't gonna be enough jobs. A lot of people don't got an entrepreneurial spirit about them. If they giving them UBI, what they gonna do with it? They're already letting these women run around and selling vagina like it's going out of style. Ain't nobody stopping these women from selling their body. Hell, they fighting to do it. And they're like, they're like, hey, if you ain't got money, you can't get with it. And, that thing between their legs, that it's depreciating. The price of it is depreciating. Go watch a documentary called Horror's Glory. It's like the future we're headed towards. So, it's an economic warfare tactic to bring a society to its knees. That's how I look at this. All these jobs, this is an economic warfare tactic to bring you to your knees. Because think about it, man. I keep telling y'all, man, we already went through the Roaring 20s in the 1900s. Study the Roaring 20s. The 1920s, the Roaring 20s. Here, I'll show you. Because people seem not to remember 100 years ago. I don't know why don't people understand the Roaring 20s? The Roaring 20s. We'll just look it up. Right here, the Roaring 20s, the 1920s. Stylized the Roaring 20s. Let's just look at it. I'll break it down to you. The Roaring 20s, sometimes stylizes the Roaring 20s stylizes this, refers to the 1920s decades in music and fashion. As it happened in Western society and culture, it was a period of economic prosperity with distinctive cultural edge in the United States, internationally, particularly in major cities such as Berlin, Buenos Aires, Santiago, Chicago, London, LA, Mexico City, New York City, Paris, Sydney. In France, the decade was known as the Années Folles Crazy Years, emphasizing the era's social, artistic, and cultural dynamism. Jazz blossomed, the flapper prostitutes redefined the modern look for British and American women. The Art Deco peak Here's a flapper right here. This is an idea what a flapper would look like. Josephine Baker. Here you go right here. Okay. You know, the economy, it was a decade of economic growth. Aren't we in like all-time highs every day you wake up? Isn't the stock market at an all-time high? Roaring 20s. So we're in 2020s. This is the roaring 20s. This is the 1920s to 1929. 2020 to 2029. Here we come. It was a decade of economic growth and widespread prosperity, driven by recovery from a wartime devastation and deferred spending, a boom in construction, right? Do we see construction? And rapid growth of consumer goods such as automobiles and electricity in North America and Europe and a few other developed countries such as Australia. The economy of the U.S. successfully transitioned from a wartime economy to a peacetime economy. Isn't that what they're trying to usher in with AI? They're trying to sell you peace and hope. They're trying to sell you peace. Fuck hope. They don't want you to have hope. They're trying to sell you peace from a wartime economy. Right now, we are in a wartime economy, and with AI, they're going to usher in false peace. It boomed and provided loans for a European boom as well. Some sectors stagnated, especially farming and coal mining. Is farming not stagnated right now? I don't know about coal mining, but I know farming is. The U.S. became the richest country in the world per capita, and since the late 19th century had become the largest total GDP. Its industry was based on mass production. It is society, I can't say that word, into consumerism. European economies, by contrast, had more difficult post-war readjustment and did not begin to flourish until about 1924. Okay. So, yeah, we're basically going through the same situation. Now, let's do this last part. At first, the end of wartime production caused a brief, deep recession. The post-war of World War I recession from 1919 to 1920, a sharp deflationary recession or depression in 20 and 21, and quickly, however, the economies of the U.S. and Canada rebounded as returning soldiers re-entered the labor force and munition factories were retooled and produced consumer goods. So didn't we have a sharp deflationary recession or depression period? Didn't we have that like earlier in the 2020s? Just saying. New products and technology. Technology was affordable to the middle class. The automotive industry, the film industry, and radio industry, and the chemical industry took off during the 20s. Isn't AI going to change the automotive industry, the film industry, the radio industry, probably the chemical industry? Isn't it going to change all that? It's doing the same thing. It's like a mirror. It's completely different. It's the same thing, but it's just now they're just enhancing the first version. They're like, all right, we had the Great Depression, we got us here. Now this time we're gonna do the same thing, just this time we're gonna AI the shit. That's all we do. We're just gonna AI the shit. We're gonna do the same. We're gonna do the same game plan. We're gonna run the same play. But we just gonna AI it. That's it. That's all they're doing. You can see it. You can see it. I'm not about to go into all this, but I strongly encourage you to study the Roaring 20s. There was a very interesting time in life. Very interesting time in life. It was a good historical period for you to learn. Back to the layoffs. July 29th, 2026, mass layoff at the State Department. Remember when we said, get your passport? Let's see what this lady has to say. Let's see what she says about this right here. Here we go.
Me saying get your passport back in November and December? Well, the State Department just laid off thousands of workers today. Who processes passport applications and renewals? Oh, that's right, the State Department. At least 1,300 people got notified that they were being laid off or terminated today, Friday, July 11th. And there are rumors of upwards of 3,000 total job cuts across the board. This is massive, and it's all been made possible by the recent Supreme Court ruling, shocking, allowing the Trump administration's RIF, or reduction in force, to actually take place. This is the first mass layoff we've seen since that ruling, and it impacts the entire department. Everything from administrative civil servants, the ones processing passport applications or renewals, to foreign service. Yeah, the people who are actually stationed overseas in our embassies and consulates to assist Americans abroad or those wishing to come to the United States. Yeah, they got let go too. This is a massive blow to the federal workforce and honestly to the United States of America, because it's likely going to make wait times for passports, adoptions, or people needing assistance abroad longer.
Okay, passports. Let's talk about that real quick. If you don't have your passport, if you never got a passport, now I haven't looked into what she's saying, but I will say this from experience of having a passport. If you've ever gotten a passport, you know the process of a passport. Okay, it's a process you go through of getting a passport. You get your document, you fill out the form, you get your documentations together, you do all these things, right? Well, oh my goodness, Lord, how do I say this? Let me see. Marco Rubio. Let's start here first. Here we go. I'm gonna speak to you like this real quick. This is what this is gonna be right here. All right, so here we go. First things first. When you get a passport, you fill out documentation, everything. You get all the paperwork together. You get all your stuff you need. Your little photo, your money or whatever, your money order, whatever the hell you need. Whatever payment you got to pay, and all these different things you need to get in order. I think your birth certificate potentially. I'm not sure. I can't remember. However, okay. Turn all the documents. You hand it in, right? Now, since now there's allegedly, I don't know, according to what she said, I'm going to go off of what she said. If you turn it in now, potentially it could be a longer wait time because there's less people working there, right? Allegedly. Well, if you don't want to wait, you can always expedite the process for a little extra hefty fee. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, it's probably going to make the passport process take longer, but you can always speed it up if you just pay more. So the expediting might even increase on the amount to get your passport expeditiously, as one would say. You know what I mean? So therefore, it's just another way to get money to expedite a passport. Now, hold on, before we even go down that route, let's check this out. Now, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, recently announced that the U.S. will soon transition to almost entirely online passport applications featuring real-time facial recognition technology to verify at-home photos taken via smartphone or laptop. Oh boy, there it is right there. This initiative, expected to roll out within a few months of this July 2026 announcement, aims to eliminate the need for physical photo services at pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens, while introducing a commemorative Patriot Passport for America's 250th anniversary. So, the good old facial recognition is being implemented. So therefore, economic warfare is a good way to, in my humble opinion, the way I opinionate my opinion and how I see things, I look at it as this is a good way to get rid of employees, drive up unemployment, and bring in AI. It's a good way to bring in AI. This is a perfect World War III tactic. It's fantastic. It's great. The thing is, World War III isn't coming. It's been here. That's the problem that people don't notice or they don't think about. Like, oh, it's going to get worse. Well, of course it's going to get worse. We're in World War III. You're just waiting on them to tell you that we're in World War III when a war pops off. But you're at war now. You're at war with your finances every fucking day when you wake up. Are you not? Insurance has gone up. Property taxes gone up. Groceries have gone up. Wages has been stagnant or gone down. People getting laid off. Competition for jobs gone up. putting in resumes on Indeed and LinkedIn and all these other things, the AI is sifting through your shit and probably not getting picked. The competition of jobs keep coming because people keep turning 18 every day, so that puts more people in the job market. The military application process, the wait time in some places is 6 months to a year out of the to be sitting in DEP. Now, all these things is going on. It's like, bro, you're in a war. You're in a war. If you don't understand that you're in a war, once again, let me help you fuckers out, because people don't really like to, you know, understand things. But here we go. This right here. If you're, you know what, let me find it on YouTube. I'll find it on YouTube. You know what? I'll do both. I'll find it for you on, you know, good old Picopedia, and then I'll find it for you on YouTube. In case you need a refresher, here you go. This right here. When you get free time, I want you to watch this and just listen to it. Okay? This right here. This is what I want you to look at. When you get free time, go on YouTube and type this in and listen to this right here. You see it on your screen. When you get time, go listen to it. Sit down. It's like an hour and 45 minutes, hour and 42 minutes. Sit down and listen to this document. It's an old document. It's nothing new. It's old. Listen to what they're going to tell you. And let's see what Wikipedia says about it. It's an introduction it's a programming manual. It's an alleged clandestine document that was first serviced in the mid-'80s and purports to outline strategies of a global social engineering using a weapon of continuous institutional manipulation by those in position of power. It's widely regarded as a conspiracy theory text. Cool. Well, we learned from the LIVESTREAM aisles that a bunch of conspiracy theories turned out to be real as shit. So conspiracy theories are no longer theories, they're facts. Especially after the shit that came out in the Epstein files, talking about pulling kids' teeth out so they couldn't bite. And you want to tell me about conspiracy theories? There ain't no such thing no more, bruh. Y'all shot yourself in the foot with that one. Like, once you put that out, it was like, oh. And these are factual okay, bet. So we have more major changes coming along. And the other major change, which this has been known for a long time, depending on the books that if you have certain books. It says Social Security changes start June 20th, 2026. Let's see what the changes are for Social Security coming up. So let's see what he has to say, because you do know that this is going to stop at some point. But let's hear what they got to say. He has to say about this. We're going to let him talk about this, and we're going to go on about this. So here we go.
Security has announced a big shift in services beginning on March 7th, 2026, that will impact millions of Americans, and most won't even realize it's happening. Here's what's changing. Social Security is moving away from relying primarily on local field offices to handle appointments and benefit questions. Instead, they're going to be shifting to a centralized national customer service system. That means when you
Centralized national customer service system. That was a fancy ass way to say artificial intelligence. That was a super fancy way to say artificial intelligence. There's going to be 5 people working, and they're each going to have AI agents for the workflow, and the agents are going to answer every freaking call that comes through. There's going to be 5 humans that you're never going to talk to, and you're going to talk to the AI agent that they coded into the language, and that's who you're going to speak with, is a AI agent. But let's let him keep going.
Call or schedule something, the person helping you may not be in your local office anymore. They could be anywhere in the country. Now, Social Security says that you shouldn't notice a difference except possibly expanded appointment availability. They say that this is about using technology to improve customer service and give employees better tools. But here's the bigger picture. At least 7,000 Social Security employees were laid off during recent downsizing efforts. There are also reports that...
Once again, I strike again. World War III, the economic layoff tactic. This is a warfare tactic, bro. This is a warfare tactic. This is it. This is a warfare tactic, bro. It's the best way to take this. How do you take down the country with the strongest military? You don't fight them with guns in the military, bro. You don't do that. That's not how you fight the strongest country, the country with the strongest military. You can't do that. You got to find another way to attack. So how do you attack them? Lay off all they damn citizens. Man, economic warfare, hit them from within, and then go in and then find loopholes and ways to bring in different foreign political parties to come in and combat the agendas of the American people of the country. That's all that is, bruh. This is economic warfare. It's all it is. It's it. But let him keep going. He's almost finished.
The agency is aiming for about a 50% reduction in field office visitors compared to last year. At the same time, the agency says their website is now accessible 24/7. Phone wait times have dropped, and about 90% of calls can be handled through self-service or callback systems. So what does this actually mean? It means if you're comfortable online or on the phone, maybe this improves efficiency.
It just means you're screwed. That's all that means. A lot of people nobody got jobs anymore. So therefore, you're not going to be talking to a human being. You're going to be talking to a AI agent. And if the system is set up to a way that something can't be overrode, like here, let me give you an example. Back in the day, if there was a if something was worded a certain, you could back in the day. If you, okay, let me give you an example. I worked at a call center. I've worked at a call center before, right? Call center it was like an AT&T call center, right? Now, if there was something wrong with a phone bill or some kind of issue or whatever that was going on with the situation, they gave us a little bit of power. We could credit people's accounts if they were, it was at our discretion. I think we had a limit, we had a limit that we could credit people's accounts if we wanted to. So that's why you had to be nice to people on the phone. Nowadays, it's AI. So AI don't give a shit if you're nice. It's a system, you're fucked. But back then, if you worked working at a call center, you call in, whatever, we had so much money we could credit an account at our discretion if we wanted to fix anything that was messed up, or if people were bitching, you wanted to get off the phone with them, credit their account. Oh, I helped you out. Oh, thank you so much, Dan. You did a great job. Thank you. Yeah, of course, call again next time. Take care. Have a good one. Now, sometimes there was something that would be out of your power. So then you would escalate the call, or the person get upset, they escalate it. You go up to a higher manager. Now, at the end of the day, regardless of how much you escalated the call, if you bitch and complained enough, you could override the system. You could get what you wanted out of the system if you took time out of your life to bitch and complain enough and just sit there and waste time. You could, and they could override the system. They had the power, the key to actually go in to change and fix your issue if you were that persistent about it, especially if you had a legit point and they tried to use policy against you, but no one on the back end, technically, like, they could help you. They're like, we could help you. We're just being dick and we're trying to play the policy game. But technically speaking, we could help you. You could do that. You could override a system and help and go in on the system and type things in to fix their problem and help them and get them, the customer, what they needed. Now, with the AI being implemented, you can't override the system. System can't be overrode. That's it. It stops. The buck stops there. You can't override the system. You can't send them a phone call all day long and talk to a person because you're probably not talking to a person. The system cannot and will not be overrode. So if you don't do something in a timely fashion, if something doesn't sit well with you, if something isn't working, that tactic don't work anymore, and people don't have the power because it's not people anymore to help you. There's a heartless, cold-hearted system, AI system that's put in on the other end now. It's not a human like me on the phone where I could be like, dang, like, that sucks. I've been in that position. I feel for this person. I want to help somebody out. Because now it's human to human. I don't mind helping or crediting somebody's account when I was on the phone call. If I could credit your account and help you out a little bit, man, of course, here, take it, man. I would want somebody to do it to me. We all in this shit together. Not anymore. We not in this shit together no more. See, it used to be human to human when you were on the phone talking to somebody with customer service. Now you're not on the phone with nobody customer service anymore. So the other person on the other side of that phone can't feel your pain. They can't relate to what you're going through. There's no compassion or empathy for you on the other end of that phone. So if you had the power, like I did at that customer service job, to credit so much money to a customer's account to help them out at my discretion, I could do that depending on how I felt about the situation, the phone call, if you was a dickhead on the phone or not. That's done. That's gone. Because imagine all the times I credit accounts that I was given to credit accounts for. Okay. Not just me doing that, but other employees had that same power where they could use a little bit of credit for accounts if they needed to at their discretion. How much money was given away from the company to do that? Now imagine all that money never going away and it just stays in the pocket of the company. You see what I'm saying now? So it's like, there's no more empathy. There's no more feelings. There's no more human to human compassion on the other end of us all going through a situation together. Now, if you don't pay a bill, a phone bill, if you got a problem with a passport or something, there is no human that's trying to help you because they feel where you coming from trying to get your passport. They feel where you coming from because you late on your bill or you need help trying to get a bill, and they got the power to credit you a little something to bring your stress down a little bit, but you still got to pay it. You got a $200 bill, but they'll, here, we'll put a $50 credit on your account. So now you only pay $150 instead of $200. Oh, thank you. I can make the $150. Thank you. I needed that help. There's no more compassion on the other end of that phone no more. That shit is gone. That's gone. it's gone. So the World War III tactic I say that's going on is just the economic shift that is happening. See, we went into the Great Depression, into the industrial era. Now we're going into the intelligence area, but now the era, but this intelligence era is a cold-hearted era. There is no more human-to-human compassion or interaction anymore. That's the new era we're going into. That's what World War III is bringing upon. An era where human-to-human compassion is gone, and it's up to you to choose to still have human-to-human empathy or compassion with each other. Because the system, it ain't about that no more. It's about breaking you with a machine that don't give a shit about you. The system is now machine ran. It's not human slave ran, because when you had a human slave on the other end, a human that was a slave to the system, there was still compassion. Humans could still use compassion and empathy towards each other over the phones or emails or whatever the case may be. Now the system has AI machines. They don't have feelings. They don't have empathy. They don't have nothing. It's like, my system says this is all I can do. This is all I can do. Sorry if you can't do it. You're probably going to go to jail because you didn't pass go and you didn't collect $200. You see what I'm saying? It's the setup for the perfect system to be implemented and to be as cold as it possibly can be. And now you're given the choice. Are you going to choose to still rock with and be compassionate with your fellow man or woman, or no? That's up to you. Because according to social media and the gender wars and feminism and all that, people are willingly and choosing to not fuck with each other. Everything is financial, everything is transactional, everything is economic. And people are okay with that. But as time goes on, go watch Black Mirror, 15 Million Merits. Go watch that episode. Go watch it. And you're going to see where feminism ends up. And you're going to see where, men end up. You'll see it. It's a class system. Everybody's on a talk show or a game show trying to win the grand prize of the talk show. You know what I mean? Every streaming services you watch, it's like a game show, a talk show, trying to win to get out of the situation that you're in. You know what I mean? It's crazy when you look at it. That's why I say this World War III tactic of mass economic layoffs of jobs, bro. This is a cold one. This is a cold one. You have to choose. You have to choose. You can't blame nobody. You have to willingly choose. Am I going to deal with my fellow man and woman? And that's the thing. Can you deal with your fellow man and woman? Because is your fellow man and woman operating at a low frequency? Are they operating out of fear, survival, and lustful sex 24/7, 365? Or can they get past that and operate at a higher level, make a sacrifice and get to that higher level? You know? It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, I got a couple more that we're finna run on to this. And speaking of people, speaking of dealing with your fellow man and looking at this World War III economic layoff, let's go back in history and let's take a look at the intentional dumbing down of how we kind of got here. Because right now you ain't noticed people's getting dumber by the minute, dumber by the day. It was a dumbing down to the situation that's been going on. And we're going to look at the dumbing down, and then we're going to look at the dumbing down, how it gets implemented and put into this new system that we're going into. So let's go way back into history and take a look at how this all came to fruition. So here we go.
Get the better end of the bargain. He would donate his great wealth to the creation of public institutions. Rockefeller made sure to get the better end of the bargain. He would donate his great wealth to the creation of public institutions, but those institutions would be used to bend society to his will. As every would-be ruler throughout history has realized, society has to be transformed from the ground up. Americans in the 19th century still prized education and intellectual pursuits, with the 1840 census finding unsurprisingly that the United States, a nation that had been mobilized by tracts like Thomas Paine's remarkably popular Common Sense, was a nation of readers, with a remarkable 93% to 100% literacy rate. Before the first compulsory schooling laws in Massachusetts in 1852, education was private and decentralized, and as a result classical education, including study of Greek and Latin and a solid grounding in history and science, was widespread. But a nation of individuals who could think for themselves was anathema to the monopolists. The oligarchs needed a mass of obedient workers, an entire class of people whose intellect was developed just enough to prepare them for lives of drudgery in a factory. Into the midst stepped John D. Rockefeller with his first great...
Real quick, right there. Listen to that.
The oligarchs needed a mass of obedient workers, an entire class of people whose intellect was developed just enough to prepare them for lives of drudgery in a factory.
Just enough. Oligarchs needed people to be dumb just enough to prepare them for lives of drudgery in a factory. Just enough to be dumb enough to run these AI machines, but not smart enough to handle them. Now, let's take a look at this from a different perspective. We're going to hear a foreigner speak on this situation. Let's see what this guy has to say. He says tech layoffs have got exposed and the dark truths about H-1B workers. Listen to what he says, and let's tie this into what we just heard about the Rockefeller. Here we go. Listen to what he's going to say. Make sure this is turned up. All right, here we go. God dang it. Let me refresh this real quick. Give me 2 seconds. All right, refresh the screen. Did we refresh it? Here we go.
Now, I know that in these uncertain times, a lot of American software engineers see the H-1B program as a major challenge or even as a threat to our way of life. So today, I want to share my 2 cents on this topic. So on paper, the H-1B program is supposed to fill critical shortages in STEM-related fields, and it's supposed to do so only when American workers are not available. And over the course of my career, I've had the opportunity of working with many H-1B engineers, most of whom came from India. And one thing that always surprised me is the enormous differences in capability between individual H-1B engineers. We're talking about night and day differences in terms of skills, aptitude, work ethic, and motivation. And technically, all of these engineers were selected from the same H-1B lottery selection process. Now, this wide range of outcomes in and of itself shows that the H-1B program is not functioning properly, at least not for tech workers. Now, let me give some concrete examples of structural issues that I see with this program. Probably my worst H-1B experience happened in 2013. I was working in consulting back then as an enterprise architect. Most of my work back then dealt with higher level systems design and navigating the excruciating TOGAF process forced upon us by our client. So the client account that I was working with, they needed some work done on a small Sitecore content website. The work was just building out a few authorable content templates and a couple of lead generation forms. Today, AI can spin that out in a matter of minutes, but back then it was a 2-month-long project. The problem...
All right, so as you see now, AI is coming in, spitting out this really quickly. And the H-1B visas, he's speaking on, and he's showing the difference between the H-1B workers that are coming out of, in this case, India. And he's saying the work ethic of the people, the intellect of the people, I guess the skills related to the job between the two people is night and day. Clearly, these people are nowhere near as smart as these people, is what he's saying. And I won't say smart. The skills of these people, I guess the people from India, the H-1B workers, the H-1B worker skills are nowhere good as the skills of the people of where they are, of America in this case, right? However, we just went over this right here. Where is it at? We just went over this, and we just saw the intentional dumbing down of America and how it began. Keep this in mind as this guy keeps talking.
Is we didn't have any developers working on this account with Sitecore or .NET experience. In fact, we had a shortage of Sitecore developers across the entire consulting company. Because of this, we had to reach out to one of those H-1B staff augmentation companies based out of New Jersey. Let's call this company Awesome Tech Staffing Services, or ASS. So I asked Will, one of the few architects with Sitecore experience that we had from our company, I asked Will to vet the candidates being offered up by ASS. One of the candidates that ASS sent us was Viren. He had an impeccable resume and was marketed to us as a senior Sitecore developer. In fact, his resume almost matched our job description exactly, like word for word. Will interviewed him over the phone, and that guy passed the interview with flying colors. And due to the urgency of this client engagement, we quickly onboarded Viren onto the project. But after just 2 weeks, a project manager complained to me that Viren wasn't working on any of his assigned user stories. So I sat down with Viren to figure out what's going on. And he told me that the code base of this Sitecore site was way too convoluted, and that he had spent a sprint just understanding how that code worked. Something felt off to me about that conversation, but not knowing Sitecore myself, I couldn't directly question Viren. So I let him go. So another week was allowed to pass and no work got done. At this point, the project manager was getting super stressed out. So this time around, I begged Will for some time, and I sat both Will and Viren down into a meeting. At this meeting, Will asked Viren a few very, very basic Sitecore syntax questions. And guess what? Viren couldn't answer any of them. Now, Will would later tell me that he felt like he interviewed a different person entirely on the phone interview. But during that meeting, however, I pressed Viren to explain himself. Viren explained that he didn't actually know any Sitecore, that he was an experienced Java developer who hoped that he could learn Sitecore while doing the job itself. Now, I didn't know Sitecore, but I knew the Java programming language very well. So on the spot, I asked the man a couple of basic Java questions. Things like, what's the difference between method overriding and method overloading, for example? The guy couldn't answer a single question. The man was clearly being disingenuous to me, and at that point, I got very frustrated and dismissed Viren for the day. Now, this was literally an example of fraud, and it is a structural issue within the H-1B program. The difficulties of identifying the actual skill levels of an H-1B candidate lends itself to all sorts of fraudulent misrepresentation of skills. We're talking...
All right, so now look, I have to put these two side by side because now it's all starting to make sense.
Been mobilized.
We're going to go back to this right here. I'm going to go right back to this. All right. Because it shows you the intentional dumbing down of America. All right. America had a remarkable 93 to 100% literacy rate. It had that already. All right. But when you intentionally trying to dumb down America, this is how it happens. But it says before the first compulsory school of laws in Massachusetts in 1852, you can see clearly here that it's telling you education was privatized and decentralized, and as a result, classical education, including study of Greek and Latin and solid grounding in history and science, was widespread. This is how it started. But a nation of individuals who could think for themselves was an anathema to the monopolist. Okay, so therefore we're seeing this same playbook get ran out, because you can't have a bunch of intelligent people, at least according to this right here, the threat to the monopolist. You cannot have a bunch of intelligent ass people with artificial intelligence at their fingertips. You just can't have it, because it's going to threaten the shit out of the monopolists, because we are very smart people. We're entirely intelligent, and we would be a very big competition to these people who want to control things. So you got to get rid of the intelligent folk and bring in the not so intelligent folk and put them in intelligent positions and let shit fail. They're just running the same playbook. They're doing it all over again because they have to dumb it down. You cannot have AI in the hands of intelligent people, because then intelligent people will link up with other intelligent people and they will run this AI against a bunch of extremely rich trillionaires, zillionaires, and they don't want that. They want a monopoly globally. They cannot have intelligent people with their hands on this shit. So how he spoke about the H-1B visa, saying that it's hard to test the skill set of the people with H-1B visas, but yet they're getting into positions that are high paying and high qualifying, and it's at a level of fraud according to him. This guy. Then it's clear to see that this playbook right here that these people ran long ago, they're just running it again. It's the same playbook, but this time they have to run it for a different era. I'm gonna let them talk and speak on it one more time.
The oligarchs needed a mass of obedient workers, an entire class of people whose intellect was developed just enough to prepare them for lives of drudgery in a factory.
There it is. That's what they need. That's what they need. So what the hell they look like having intelligent, intellectual people in these positions? They can't do it. They don't want it. And it makes sense if you look at it from a piece of shit mindset like these people here. If you look at it from their lenses, they're just running the same playbook over again. That's all they doing. They running the same playbook twice. They're just like, this time we just gonna bring people from a foreign country. Don't matter if they smart or dumb, as long as the shit look good on paper, they can find out. Because he said from India. How many times Indian people done called you and fucked over old people on the phone or over the phone from a damn call center somewhere and said that, like your person at the bank account, they have to do something or else you're going to get your money stolen from you. And then the people go and they flush their bank account out from them, and the old people get took for like $50,000. So then they're doing the same interview stuff, and it's not just Indian people, it's other people, but you get what I'm saying. So now they got H-1B visa people, and I'm saying that all of them are dumb, because they're not, and they're able to use an education that's not as strong as the American one. But then you have to start to dumb down the American education as well when you bring over these migrants and immigrants as well. And we see that with all this feminism that's going on and these women that are coming out of these colleges with these damn degrees. We see the dumbing down of America with American women. We see it. We can see it. So we see the intentional dumbing down, and it goes all the way down to the kids, because if the women that get dumbed down, well, a lot of women are teachers. So if the women are dumbed down and they're teachers, then, even the teachers get online and they tell you, hey, our kids are in trouble. Critical thinking is horrible, and their reading skills, they're graduating not knowing how to read. People are coming out of colleges and girls are admitting that they slept and had their sex all the way to the top, this has been going on. This ain't nothing new. I just think it's just been vamped up at a higher rate. But now you have AI, and this time when AI gets implemented or is implemented and put in, now you have unintelligent people going against a artificial intelligence, and they can't outthink the fake intelligence, not realizing that the intelligence that this fake shit has comes from you, the actual intelligent being. So therefore, you think the robot is above you, but it's not. So therefore, you got a cold ass system that's going to outsmart you and manipulate you with no sympathy, with no compassion, with no empathy whatsoever. And then they get to monopolize what it is that they want to do.
The myth stepped John D. Rockefeller with his first great act of public charity, the establishment of the University of Chicago. He was aided in this task by Frederick Taylor Gates, a Baptist minister that Rockefeller befriended in 1889 and who would go on to be John D.'s most trusted philanthropic advisor. Gates would go on to write a short tract, The Country School of Tomorrow, that laid out the Rockefeller plan for education. In our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and, unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers, or men of learning or science. We are not to raise up from among them authors, orators, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, statesmen, of whom we